I gave that.
या
हाँ ओके दोबारा स्टार्ट करना क्या?
हाँ कर लो.
Okay. So hi guys, I'm Yashashwat. I'm currently working in ISRO as a scientist. So last year I gave CAT 2024. I got 99.94 percentile, and I enrolled with the CATWay for GDPI. That was my second time. The colleges I converted last year were IIM A, B, C, L, and ISB. So I'll just go to my IIM Ahmedabad interview experience. Let me just pull out my transcript. Okay, so the interview started with the usual tell me something, but which is not in your GDPI form. So when you go for the interview in IIM Ahmedabad, before that, they would ask you to fill a form on their website. So they had that printout, like you will take that printout with you. So they were reading that printout, and then they asked me, tell me something which is not in the form. So I told that I play club cricket. So then they asked me what is the corridor of uncertainty in cricket. I answered that. There was a little bit of to and fro. Then they asked me about my work ex, and like very detailed, like explain this, explain that. So then they connected it to mathematics and they started asking probability questions. I answered some of them. One or two questions at the end I fumbled, and at that point I thought that like that game is over. But like at the end I just said I don't know, and we moved on from that, like probability and maths and statistics kind of thing. Then they asked me about my extracurricular things. So it was like, you work with an NGO, what does your NGO do? This and that. And then they asked me why MBA? Why are you switching to MBA from the field of space track? Which I answered. That was a prepared answered. Then they asked me what roles are you expecting to get in like that private space sector, and what is your opinion about like some topics about the private space sector, like security issues, innovation, R&D, all those stuff. And then they were like, why should the government invest in space when issues like poverty exist? So I also answered that. And then they asked me, how does government calculate the return on investment when they invest in space tech or any other sector? That also I answered. Though I don't know if the answer was satisfactory or not, but yeah. And then they asked me about something which is common between ISRO and IIM. Vikram Sarabhai is the founder of both institutions. So they asked me that Vikram Sarabhai didn't do an MBA and he created a revolution. Why do you need to do an MBA then? So then I gave an answer. I connected all the IIM alumni which are related to ISRO and how they helped ISRO grow and how they helped the space sector grow. And then at the end, they asked me a question related to economics, which is like, what is the fiscal deficit? I answered that. Then there was a little bit of to and fro from that. And then they asked me what is the difference between budget deficit and fiscal deficit. So I couldn't answer that. So they asked me to go back home and read. And I think at the last they said like they asked if there's any question for them from my side. So I asked two questions, and that was that. The interview was done. They didn't even ask me to take a trophy, which was literally on the bowl in front of them. So I thought like I didn't perform really well. So I think yeah, I told Suraj sir that as well, that maybe the interview didn't go as well as I thought it would go. And like I was like, I won't get into IIMA. I would go like get into everywhere else, but not IIMA. But Suraj sir was like, no, you would get in, and eventually I got in. So I feel really thankful to Suraj sir about that, like all his efforts. And yeah, if you keep doing as he tells, and if you follow all the processes, and then yeah, he will do his best from your side, and you will convert at least one out of your top two calls, if not the top one. 90% of the chance you will convert your top call as well. And speaking about the role of Catway community, like I had peers which really helped me with GK. So they used to put a lot of GK on this discussion group and like general knowledge group. And then there was a group regarding the my technical subjects as well. So we used to discuss a lot there. And then all the group discussions and extempore and like the interview with the mentors, I got to learn a lot from other people. So yeah, the role of the CATWay community is also very important, and I hope you all also find that the great community and helpful community that I have found.
So yes, as you said that you have converted Bangalore and Calcutta to in a jiffy, if you can share your Bangalore and Calcutta experience also.
So my IIM Bangalore interview was the chillest interview I've ever given, and I have been giving interviews since like a long time of MBA. It was not my first time giving MBA interview. Suraj sir knows that as well. Like I was in CATWay in 2022 as well, and I gave IIM Calcutta interview for like the admit of 2023, but I didn't convert. So that year IIM Calcutta was the only college I didn't convert. So yeah, I have been giving interviews since a long time. So IIM Bangalore was the chillest interview. They just asked me about my work experience, what I do other than work experience. They didn't do much cross questioning. Probably they liked my SOP too much because they were just reading it and they were smiling, like a little bit of sly smile when you read something good, like you are very satisfied by it. So yeah, I think the SOP was Suraj sir had a lot of contribution in the SOP as well. So IIM Bangalore was chill. It was mostly about work experience and extracurriculars and like your post MBA goals. IIM Calcutta was the shortest interview. It went on from about 8 minutes. They asked the same questions: why MBA, and then why IIM Calcutta. If you convert IIM A, B, C, which one would you join? And then some maths questions at the end. And yeah, and then they asked me, are you nervous? And I said, I'm not nervous, I'm very confident. Then they were like, why are you not nervous? And I was like, I have been giving interviews since a long time. It's not my first, interview. So then they asked me about my previous IIM Calcutta experience. So I told them about that, how there was a game theory professor, and my like focus for that interview was game theory. So it kind of coincided, and then he started asking me really difficult game theory questions, and it kind of went haywire from that. So yeah, and IIM Calcutta interview was done. So they were also pretty happy with it. IIM Lucknow was, I mean, like it's like all IIM Lucknow interviews. They have a basic set of questions that they ask regarding your like work and stuff. So yeah, I think like if you prepare well, IIM Lucknow is the most uh, I mean, the least out of the ordinary interview that you will ever have, because they have like a very basic set of questions that they will ask you every time. And it's like kind of fixed. I have given two IIM Lucknow interviews and they were kind of similar both the times.
थोड़ा थोड़ा सा
And
यहाँ पे
then,
मैं खुद को बूस्ट कर लेता हूँ. सो गाइज 40 calls were there last year for IIM Lucknow and we converted 35 out of them. है ना? ठीक है. जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ कि उनका बहुत नॉर्मल सा पैटर्न होता है, उनका बहुत ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट होता नहीं. 12-15 मिनट के इंटरव्यूज होंगे. इफ यू आर नॉट नर्वस यू विल बी एबल टू कन्वर्ट दैट. है ना?
हाँ,
या. यस सर.
and like last में ISB का पता देता हूँ. So ISB's interview was very different from every other interview because a lot of it was behavioral. A lot of it was situational. They didn't ask you why MBA, what are your post MBA goals, blah blah blah. All of you would have to enter that kind of details in your essays. So it doesn't make sense for them to ask those questions. They put you in situations, ethically conflicting situations, behaviorally conflicting situations, and then they judge your behavior. So ISB is very different from that, like from all the other IIM ABC interviews. So yeah, Suraj sir helped me prepare for that also. I think mine was the first ISB kind of mock interview that Suraj sir took, if I am not wrong.
या.
So yeah, he put in extra efforts, prepare for my ISB mock interview. So yeah, those were all the experiences.
ठीक है. तो ये सबको अगर एक जगह पे कल्मिनेट करें तो व्हाट वर द मेजर टेक अवेज फॉर यू इन द इंटरव्यूज?
I think my major takeaways were that you need to be really clear about why are you moving ahead with that part. Why do you want to? do an MBA? What are your role models? Where do you envision yourself later in life after doing an MBA? And how that MBA from that particular college will help you. If you have these 5 questions very detailed and very clear, I think you can go ahead with 80 or 90% of your interview very, confidently. Apart from that, make sure you have some general knowledge and a good grasp of your technical subjects. And if you are working, then you should actually know what your company is doing, why is it doing that, and how you are contributing to the company. Actually, it's not just like I do coding, मेरे को ये आता है. How does your work help in the bigger scheme of things? You should know that very clearly.
All right. Guys, if you have any questions from Yashaswat, you may ask any type of questions and he will be answering. Don't hesitate, you can ask the questions. Don't worry.
Yeah, I have questions.
Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
hi, Shaswat. Great session. Thanks for all the insights. I would like to know, like, were there things which were like specific to IIMA, which you included in, let's say, your why MBA or why MBA from Ahmedabad kind of answer? So, if you can shed some light on that front, it would be helpful.
So I don't think at IIM Ahmedabad they generally ask why do you want to do an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, because they are pretty self-aware that they are the number one college in India, right? So they won't actually ask you that, why do you want to do an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad? But if you include it in your answer, if you have gone through their history, their background, if you can find someone who has come from a similar background as you and went into a role that you kind of want to go into after an MBA, then that really helps set your story very clear, and that makes you an appealing candidate, because for them you have a clarity of your career, right? You are not just doing an MBA because you are bored of your job or because you want to earn more, and you have an example that you can follow.
Okay.
All right. So the last question that he will be taking, I guess there is one question in the group. What were the two questions you asked at the end of the IIMA interview? Varun is asking that question.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I remember the questions word to word. So the first question I asked was that I couldn't find any kind of companies that come for the role that I am looking for after an MBA, because I wanted to go into, like, program manager kind of roles or business architect kind of roles in the space sector after my MBA. That is what I told in to them, like, what would I do after an MBA? So I asked that, because the recent placement reports were not released. So I asked them whether any companies have plans to come for that kind of roles, or whether you have any connections with those kind of companies. And they said that no, you would have to look it for yourself. And then the second question was that, what do you think that I, as a person who is looking in for these kind of roles, should focus on before MBA and during my MBA? And what should I actually look to take from IIM Ahmedabad? And they answered it, you would know it when you come here.
Yeah. All right, yes, Asad, Hannah. So thanks for this. If you have, guys, if you have any other questions, you can shoot those questions to me and I'll be asking him to answer in the chat. Right? Right now he'll be leaving because he has a job at his hand. He's in the office. So there is the next one. Yes, Sukla. Again, I am Ahmedabad. Yes, you can go ahead. Yes, Aswat. All right.
Hi Suraj sir, how are you?
Hi, मैं बढ़िया तो बता.
I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
बस बढ़िया sir. Nice to see all the young faces. Welcome guys, welcome to the GDPI prep. I hope you have a really good experience with Suraj sir.
So yes, you can go ahead with
Thank you.
this, है ना? How will this be? You can
Yeah.
see. Yeah, go ahead. You can
So,
chat देख लो, है
okay,
ना?
a little bit about me, my background.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, your turn.
So let me start by giving a brief introduction. Yeah, so let me start by giving a brief introduction about myself. So I'm an engineer from IIT BHU, graduated in 2020 in metallurgical engineering. Then I worked in South Korea for 2.5 years at Applied Materials, where my client was Samsung. After that, something striked. Started preparing for civil services, and I gave two attempts, almost year and a half. Then that didn't happen. Then I, pivoted to MBA, gave CAT, and thanks to Suraj sir, was able to convert IIM. So that's about me in short. Coming to the GDPI process of all the campuses, like first of all, to tell you a little
So
bit
yes,
about
just
my
one
CAT.
second. What were the major convert of yours?
So I converted, I got calls from all the colleges, converted except B, I converted all.
Yeah, all right.
So uh, I had like 99.87 percentile, so I was like all the calls. So I just as soon as the CAT got over, the next week itself, I enrolled with CATWay. And okay, so to give a brief about my IMA journey, the how the interview was structured. First, um, uh, it was kind of a different interview from the other colleges, I would say, because focus mostly on all the subjects, like all the aspects of it. They're not just testing you on academics or your work ethics or what you have done in life, but they shoot questions from all over the place. Like they have a like kind of a balanced criteria where they try to test you on different subjects. So first of all, written this on all the transfer, don't forget. So the journey started, right? So AWT was like there was a footfall decline in Goa, and they said like, okay, this decline is due to the South Indian food that is only being served at. So is the reasoning correct or not? And you have to argue against of them and present your arguments. So just AWT is different from the WAT which you have for other colleges. So you need to stick to a certain specific kind of a format that is usually different from other colleges. I think Suraj will help you help that. Then starting with the interview, I was very nervous as this was my call, everybody's best call. And my panel was apparently very third in the number. And the two people who were before me actually came out crying. There was one girl I remember today. There was one girl who was from IPM Indore, and she literally came out. She started crying and she ran away. Before we could ask how was your interview, she just ran away. And the guy before me, he came out, held his hand like this. Oh shit, what happened, man? And next was yours truly in the line. So I just went ahead, and there was one prof who was standing. Probably he was tired, and he was walking around the room with hand on his back. He was circling around. I was nervous that I entered. I said good morning instead of good afternoon, and that he said no, you are not very well. That is the time. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever. So I said like, oh, it's a good afternoon, and he's then water. I said usually people ignore such kind of requests. Like no, I'm fine, but I said yes, I want water. I drank water for like 15 minutes, 15 seconds, and then the interview actually began. They, started directly questioning, okay, you didn't clear UPSC. They didn't even ask for nothing. They usually come very well prepared with your CV, right? Uh, they knew about me inside out, so they didn't even need to answer like ask my introduction. This directly began. The first question was, yes, what went wrong with UPS? Okay, that was the first question I was asked, and then I answered it in a similar sense. Like you, firstly, are answering a very negative question. A good way to answer is, just say one or two about it, and then you answer with a sense of or like what you learned. I ended that way. Then they told like, okay, CAT is very difficult in UPSC because CAT has a lot of maths, many students in that, and so. So that was the question. The syllabus very frustrating. After that, they jumped directly to my college from ITBHU. So one of the professors had visited ITBHU a month ago. So drawing from his memory, he started asking questions about my college. What is the history of Banaras University? Why is all in all of the which temple is better, Kashinath, Vishwanath temple? What is the history of Vishwanath temple? What is the controversy with the mosque that is the Gyanvapi mosque that is going on there? Who broke the temple? Who was the Holkar dynasty in the medieval India? How are they to view? And then how many departments are there in BHU? How many departments in IIT? How my was metallurgical department. So there was another department called material science. Professor knew it. He said that I've been to both the department. How is metallurgical engineering different from material science? So I had to answer. Then he then dived to my, so that's part of, I think, my testing the knowledge about my college was over. Then he shifted to my undergraduate, that is metallurgical engineering itself. Then he started questioning, then turned to geopolitics. China controls all the minerals. Then how do you think India should tackle that? What are the Where are the different uranium mines found in India? Where is germanium found? Component of semiconductor chip, silicon wafers, what is the and how are they made? Um, so I think by five, six questions, rapid fire questions on my undergraduation, and then they switched to my job, right? Then they wanted to, which is the biggest manufacturing chip manufacturing company, that was TSMC. They asked me to explain my role. So, and they actually really wanted to understand what I did. So the key point here is not your ability to explain jargons, but what they're looking, because they are from non-technical backgrounds, they might not have exactly the experience you might be having. So your ability to tone down or simplify your complex job requirements in a very, expressible way is what they're looking for. So until and unless they exactly understood what I was doing, where I was doing, what was my responsibility, what I actually did in the job, and what was my actual value creation, they didn't move forward. A lot of back and forth happened. A lot of back and forth happened for around 5 6 minutes, and when they understood, okay, this is the point, I understand, then they move forward. So never try to, mug up some jargons and just for the sake of it say it. If you say it, they'll keep on asking until and unless they are satisfied, right? So that was my job experience. After that, um, then they turned to my future outlook, because why I wanted to do an MBA, because coming from a civil services background, they asked like, okay, um, they said like something on the lines that UPSC is very socialistic in nature, all social service, while MBA is very capitalistic, corporate culture. They are two very 180 degrees they are apart. How will you handle this? What's your view on this? So, and then they said like, consultant from McKinsey are very generalist. You want to join consulting, but AI is there. Their jobs are going. Also, they don't do anything. They try to basically force you to think and force you to defend yourself. And if you by chance say a very negative statement about any of those, and about you, about the job that you're targeting, then probably your interview is over, right? So you have to strike a very fine balance of um, firstly acknowledging what they're saying so that they feel respected, because they are very old professors, right? So you don't want to just keep on defending yourself to the point where they feel like, यार इसको मैं पढ़ा नहीं पाऊंगा क्लास में, this is not the kind of student I can teach. On the other hand, you should also defend yourself to the point um, where it seems like you can defend yourself, right? It should not like when they say something and then you are okay, okay, sir, aap sahi ho, sorry, that was my mistake. So counter 1 to 2 times, but then give away to what they had to say. After that, um finally they ended the interview by asking me where I see myself 5 years down the line. Be prepared with that, right? And finally, as I was about to leave, then one professor just out of nowhere asked, okay, um, where is this in BHU? The place where BHU is located is called Lanka, right? So out of nowhere, he asked, "Do you know the history of Lanka? Why is it specifically named Lanka? Banaras is such a holy city. Why will a place in Varanasi be named like after Lanka?" So fortunately, I had studied enough, had research depth, so I knew the story. I told him, and he was really impressed. He said like, "Okay, none of the candidates that I interviewed were able to tell me why is it called Lanka. You were the first one who able to tell me." So I think that was kind of a make or break situation for me, where he decided, okay, I want to take this guy. Right. All the rest conversations, I don't know how it went. I think it went fine, but yeah, it was the Ram Leela thing, because the Ram Leela used to happen there on the other side of Ganga, and this side of Ganga, they used to call it Lanka. So yeah, that was the reason. So uh, I think that was make or break. But few pointers from my end. I think your ability to stay calm, stay composed, and take a deep breath and answer everything with confidence is what will make or break your interview. Right? It's not about the content you say, but more than that, it's mostly about how you deliver it. And professors will keep pushing back, but you have to stay very in the moment, right? And you have to make sure that no professor feels disrespected. If the professor feels disrespected, you are out. They don't care who your profile is, from where, which college you are, if you're 100 percentile or 101 percentile, they don't care. They have seen enough, right? Especially at IIM. So what you need to keep in mind is to be very humble, be very be very accepting of their opinion, because they have seen a lot of world, which is like, I don't know how many times more than us. They know a lot of things. They read day in and day out. So just respecting their age and respecting their opinions may sometimes won't make them take you, right? Because I'll just share one more quick example. While I was trying to explain my job, right, to them, there was one point where he was not exactly understanding what I was doing, because I was too much into technical details and I worked in a very complex scenario. So he was, what I was saying, he was not able to get. And then after a certain point, I understand, okay, if he's pushing back anymore, I'll just accept, just to feed into his ego. Okay, you have whatever you are thinking is right. So the third time he pushed back, I accepted, yes, sir, that is exactly what I did. That is exactly what I did. And you're absolutely right. So he said, yeah, 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 yeah. Now let's move on. So if I'd taken it on my ego, no, I'll explain the correct thing. Whatever I did was the thing that he needs to understand. Then that was pointless, and the conversation would never move on. And I don't know what he would have perceived of me. So these are small psychological battles that are fought in the interview room. You need to be aware of your situation, the kind of professors you are dealing with, and it helps sometimes to whenever you are giving a lot of you will be having a lot of mock sessions with Suraj sir also. So try to gauge the personality of your interviewer. If within the next 1 to 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you will get to know a fair idea what kind of an interviewer is he. And don't be very rigid with your approach. Just try to flow along what interview is expecting. Some interviewers want to show their knowledge. There are younger interviewers who just want to get onto you and prove that they're right. If you feed into their ego, that's okay. There are many professors that they are open minded. They can change their mind based on your arguments. Feel free to argue with them, but never take an argument to a point where you are just defending and a lot of cross questioning is happening. It gets ugly, right? So make it a pleasant experience, and don't forget to smile. Okay, everybody likes to talk to a person who is smiling, irrespective of his nature. So that's my 2 cents.
All right. This one last question, Atharva. How much helpful were CATWay mock interview compared to actual scenarios?
A lot, because I remember giving an interview with IIM Bangalore uh, student. He is in PGP2 right now. So that was one of the moments where ripped me apart. He just ripped me apart like hell. Suraj sir feels annoying. So he just ripped me apart, and that actually made me go dive and introspect a lot. Like I didn't probably talk to anyone for 2 weeks because I was just thinking on my journey, what I want to do, how I want to do. When I came after that, then the interviews like went very smoothly. So actually, I owe my lot of success EP to CATWay. Are in safe hands, guys. Don't worry.
Thank you so much. And trust me, what he says, you are in safe hands. You will be delivering the best in your best B school class. That's my promise to you guys. I'll be working hard with you guys. You don't have to worry. है ना? That is one thing. So all right, yes. If they will be having any questions, since you have your exam tomorrow, if they will be having any questions, I'll ask them to shoot. And then just one question, if you can take. Most of the people say that you lead the interview. Did you feel in all the Atharva's chat? If you can go through and you can answer in 1 minute.
Most of the people say that you lead the interview, and all the interviews that you gave, you were on the leading one, or you just going on with the panel's flow. Uh, uh, I think you need to gauge that there is no one way right. Some interview, example, I'm A, I'm C, they gave a lot of to you. They actually really understand your personality. My I'm Bangalore interview was more than minutes. My I'm Ahmedabad interview was like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Calcutta was close to 30 minutes. And like Lucknow was, I don't know, 15 minutes. FMS was 10 minutes. Depending on the college, I think for ABC, they will give you chances to lead the interview. For the other colleges which have very less time available, I think you don't get time to lead, and it's they who are asking continuously and you are responding. So be aware of what kind of college you are going for. They
All
have
right.
flexible mindset. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Yash. Thank you for taking out the time, Hannah.
No problem.
Obviously, you have your exams and still you are sitting here, so that says a lot. Thank you so much, Bacha. Bye
Chalo,
bye. Let's catch up later.
thank you.
है ना?
All
Aniket,
the
you are here?
best.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are. If you can turn on your video, Aniket.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
One-
Yeah. All right.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Okay. कैसा है बच्चा?
बढ़िया सर बढ़िया आप कैसे सर
मैं बढ़िया. So, Aniket, the basic introduction of yours, right? And then your experiences, है ना? The
Yes.
interview experiences of yours in different colleges.
Yeah, so my name is Malik. I am a BTech Dairy Tech graduate. So I was a fresher when I joined here for MBA, and I got calls from IIM Ahmedabad, Lucknow, IIT Bombay, Delhi, and TIS also. So I've converted Lucknow, Ahmedabad, Bombay, and IIT Delhi. And now about the experience of mine of IMA's interview. My interview was very soft spoken, but the interviewer was very soft spoken. One is male, one is female, and both are professors here at IMA. One is of economics and other is of HRM. But the questions that they asked me was not related anywhere to their domains. So you cannot predict based on the interviewer what they are going to ask you based on their backgrounds. So they started the interview with by asking like how a dairy technology graduate is coming around about to do an MBA. Why don't you go into your own domain? Why don't you pursue, because you are a fresher, why don't you go towards doing MTech? Why do you want to do MBA? So it's a basic why MBA question, which sir is going to prepare you well for. That's because my why MBA question was very, like, for me it was very difficult. I cannot like gather around my thoughts and put it on a paper why I want to do an MBA. As because I am a fresher, there is many questions regarding many way to ask that question, and for every other way I have to answer it accordingly so that the interviewer understands what I am saying or making it out. So for that, sir has helped me a lot because he has asked me to change my YMBA in like every other mock interview which I have given with him. So they started with that. Then they move forward asking me deep into what dairy technology or a dairy technologist does in the industry. How in which industries do you have a career to pursue, or in which domains do you want to see yourself after doing an MBA also. So, and they like asked me to explain it to them, like how different machineries work at the plant, because I have also trained at a dairy plant for 6 months. So you cannot predict like in which depth they are going to dive in to ask you about your past experiences or your background. So they even asked me to draw a diagram of a heat exchanger, which now, because I know their backgrounds, now I know that they don't have any knowledge about that heat exchanger also, but they're asking it to me so that to gauge me like how I am well versed with my past experiences or the uh, past knowledge which I had, the education which I have done. Then they moved to like current affairs. They asked me why farmers are protesting, because at that time farmers are protesting in Punjab and Haryana region. So they asked me why farmers are protesting. They even asked me to take a stand for the farmers or for the government in that situation. But I said that I find many difficulties or many lack of conversations from the both sides. So I made a common ground in between them. The interviewer then again asked me like, if you are giving an interview for IMA, you should have a strong opinion, so you have to take a side. He even said that to me, but being firm with my stance, because I know I can explain my common ground between the farmers and the government itself. So being truthful to yourself is also very important, because if he asks you to take a stand between government or the farmers, then it is not necessary for you to take a stand, even if you don't feel like to. So if you have the proper reasoning for your stand, proper reasoning why you want to say something or do something, then being truthful to yourself is also very important in the interview. Then they asked me questions from stats. They asked central tendencies, measures of dispersion. Then they asked me to draw some graphs on the paper, which I couldn't do for some reason, because they asked me to draw a graph of x sin x. Then they changed the questions. Then they asked me about dairy industry, how is it functioning, about my background and all. So that was all interview. It lasted for around 30 minutes, I guess. So that's the major chunk which I remember from the interview. It was for around, yeah, 30-35 minutes.
Okay. And how was your Lucknow experience different from Ahmedabad?
Uh, in terms of experience, Lucknow's interview was very casual one, because the interviewer himself is eating nuts being kept on the table, and he's just asking me questions like, how do you feel about this city, because I gave interview in Lucknow, in Noida campus of IIM Lucknow. So he asked me, how do you feel about this city, how's your day. He doesn't ask me any questions which like which he could caught me off on. He asked me about my domain, which you can like, which are predictive questions, because you have done something, so you must be asked question on that. But Lucknow's one was casual one. He even asked me about because I am from Meerut, so he asked me about, at that time there is something, I don't remember, something is going on in Meerut, so he even asked me about it. So it was very casual one on the perspective, because interviewer himself is like swinging on his chair. He's standing up again and again, sitting down. And so it was a very casual one as compared to IMA, because IMA one was very formal in terms of dressing sense also of the interviewer. They are both like, it was in the morning slot, so they are both well in the formal attire. But in the Lucknow one, it was in the afternoon, and both of the interviewers were not like, I can see that they are not in a mood to take a formal interview. They are just chit chatting. It was, and for both of the IMA and for the Lucknow one, it was more of an interaction. It was not questions and answer based. It was more of an interaction. Whatever I say, they they pick a few points on them, and then they ask like, how do you do that, or something related to what I answers to them. So it was more how you structure your answer drives your interview towards the way, because interviewer is interested in knowing you. He doesn't have he doesn't have prepared any questions to ask to you. He just reads your profile and then he asks you question based on what you answers to their question.
All right. Okay. Guys, any questions for Aniket from you guys? Anyone? So Aniket, I'll be asking them up, है ना? Yeah, go ahead. Anyone has any questions? कोई कुछ पूछ रहा था?
Hey Aniket, so will having let's say a niche degree help in the kind of questions you get regarding your undergrad, especially for a fresher?
Yeah, it definitely was. Giving mock interviews with Suraj sir has helped me a lot in revising my concepts, because I also think like that, having a niche degree which is dairy technology, so interviewer might doesn't know or might have a small idea about what you have done in undergrad. So if you globe around your subject or your subject, then they will feel like something. But Suraj sir interviews has helped because he asked me some deep questions. He asked me like butter making in dairy technology, paneer making process, and everything related. If I am not well versed with, then interviewer might think like he has not done something very well. Because being a fresher, you must be knowing deep concepts in your undergrad. So it does definitely does help, because many of the times interviewer have like a lot of idea about your degree, but it gives you an edge because you prepare around it, because you can predict that interviewer ask. He might be like interesting to know whatever this person has done in the undergrad, what is it like and all. So, but especially speaking, Suraj sir has helped me because he has helped me going back, revising those concepts. And in Ahmedabad, as I have mentioned, they have asked me to draw a diagram of heat exchange. If I have not revised my concepts, then I won't be able to draw it like upfront. So revising your concepts is very important. And like also prepare a well list of 2-3 subjects, because in IIM Lucknow they asked me name 2-3 concepts which you have studied and which will help you moving towards your MBA degree. So in dairy technology, I have covered subjects like economics, stats, basic, just a basic bit. So they asked me questions based on those subjects as well.
All right. So just one last question for you, Aniket. Please try to crisp it up in 1 minute. Institutes usually ask why I am X, I am ABC have their strength, but how do you answer it for I am LKI? Don't worry, first thing first, you'll be prepared for that answer. Okay? But again, Aniket, your take.
Yeah, so it doesn't like matter based on your answer, because they usually know that if you are sitting there, you must have prepared your answer, and be truthful, as I have said, be truthful to yourself. Why do you want to join any institute? And Suraj sir is also going to prepare you for all your HR answers, so you don't have to worry about it. Just be truthful to yourself. If you feel like I have having Ahmedabad call and I am Ahmedabad is better than I am Kozhikode, then you must answer that I am Ahmedabad is better off than Kozhikode. Be true, being they also know that every person is going to choose I am Ahmedabad or Kozhikode. If they are asking you that question, they are giving if you are being truthful to yourself or not. So is like, and you don't about it. Suraj sir, if I remember first interview, mock interview with Suraj sir, he rated me below 1 out of 10. And I'm like, what am I doing sitting here? So it kind of motivates me, like from where I have covered, how much ground do I have to cover, like to give interviews. And my interview was around 1 or 1.5 month far ahead, and he rated me below 1. So he is going to cover all your concepts, whichever things like that you have to go towards your go through all your past experiences, your acads, your work ex, your HR questions, current affairs. He will be gauging you on all those topics. You don't have to worry about anything. You just walk with the like flow. In the mock interviews, it is a better opportunity for you because every month, every week, you have the opportunity to gauge yourself, like how much far ahead you have to work on, how much hard work you have to work on. If you're not confident enough with your past acads topics or your current affairs, then he will, when he asks you questions based on that in mock interviews, then you will be getting an idea that you have to work harder on acads, work harder on HR questions and all. So it will be covered all.
All right, Aniket, thank you so much. If they will be having any other questions, I'll be asking them to shoot to me in chat, and then I'll be forwarding those questions to you. Because since you are a fresher, there are a few candidates who will be freshers, so they will be connecting more with you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much, Bacha. Tomorrow is your exam, and you are here. That's tells a lot. Thank you so much for attending this. Hannah,
Thank you.
we'll catch you up later, beta. Bye
Thank you.
bye. Yeah.
All the best for your results, guys. Bye.
अभी तो बहुत टाइम है है ना अभी तो शुरू हुआ है हाय पूर्विका सो गाइस नाउ हियर इज पूर्विका हाय पूर्विका
हेलो सर
कैसी है बेटा
ऑल गुड सर आप
सो
कैसे
गाइस ओ माय गॉड what a surprise so guys I'm telling you one thing I'm seeing her for the first time because she has turned her video on for the first time है ना right so all right पूर्विका कैसा चल रहा है सब कुछ
ऑल गुड सर
all cool
या
okay so yeah. So how the flow will be, right? You know the flow better, right? Intro and all.
intro I me to directly jump into the transcript
Yeah, intro and the college converted last year, है ना? And again
okay
the actual mock interview. Actually, I have given you the flow in chat, है ना? ठीक है.
okay just quickly look at it okay so hey everyone my name is Purvika C and I'm a 2024 graduate I've done my BTech in engineering science from IIT Hyderabad and I currently work as a software developer at Amazon so last year I gave the interviews for both IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore and by God's grace and with Suraj sir's a lot of his help, I was able to convert both. So without taking any much more of your time, I'll quickly jump right into what exactly how I prepared for it and the transcript and everything. So honest with you guys, really how much one would have need to put efforts to get into such a good college. Uh, I the work that I do at Amazon, it got too hectic, so I wasn't able to give it that much time. A lot of my preparation was completely last minute based. In fact, my Ahmedabad interview, I mean, I was in coaching since February itself, attending the GDPI classes, the discussions, mock interviews. But exactly like 1 or 2 week Ahmedabad interview is when I realized that amount of work that was going on in my and the minimal amount of putting in for GDPI, it was possible. So I remember the Saturday night, I called like, so please give me 10-15 minutes of your time. Help. He left everything. He came. It was 8 Saturday night. We sat. I told him my entire situation. He went through my. He had also taken good number of my mock interview, knew my strengths, my weaknesses. And of course, all the mentors who took my interviews were reporting back to Suraj sir of my strengths and weaknesses were. We were able to jot down a very detailed about what exactly I need to study, from where I need to study. Considering it was barely 1 or 2 days, obviously we couldn't cover everything. We made a prioritized list of what exactly needs to be studied, I need to study, and how much time I should be spending studying all of that. So it was a spoon feeding done from Suraj sir's end. So yeah, that last week I left my job. I not left my job, like as in I for my job for like a week or something, and yeah, I was able to give my 100%. So yeah, for me personally, I feel like there was also a lot of luck on my side because almost all the questions that Suraj sir had asked, almost everything that my mentors had asked me, almost everything that came in my interviews was exactly that. The day before my IIM Ahmedabad interview, Suraj sir connected me with one of the previous converts who asked me a few questions. He told me that, hey, listen, this is where you are right now. These are your strengths, these are your weaknesses. Of course, overnight you can't change, you can't flip the toss and you can't everything. So he told me that try this. Gave me again. Everything was done by a lot of help. So I cannot say, take all credit that I studied, I did this. I absolutely not. Suraj sir helped me a lot. All helped me a lot. And the best part, my what do you call the people who studied with me in Catway. I didn't really know what all to cover. Like good because they had joined earlier. They had their syllabus and all very well prepared. So I think you guys will be meeting them next. Suraj, Prasanna, and
Swaraj,
yeah.
Prasanna,
So
Yashaswat, they
yeah.
met, है ना? Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
So yeah, these guys, in fact, they also sat on call with me, told me exactly what to study. So whatever I studied was basically what my batchmates told, what Suraj sir told, and what the mentors told. And as I mentioned, luck played a huge factor in my
Yes.
conversion. Everything that was asked was exactly what I had prepared for. So yeah, so I just wanted to highlight that. Now, quickly coming to the transcript. The WAT topic for my IIM Ahmedabad interview was something about how employees hesitate to ask uncomfortable questions and how this leads to the issues prolonged or like not being discussed. So this was the topic. And when I say luck, I mean here as well, because if you all know anything about Amazon, people we all as employees have a lot to say about the company. So थोड़ा बहुत बढ़ा दिया मैंने कंपनी के बारे में in the WAT. Then coming to the interview, I had two panelists, one male and one female. Almost everyone, I was the last in my panel, so almost everyone told me that the male in a little strict, so don't try to be charming or anything in front of him. Just go give the answers and come out. Where I heard that the female was quite chill. So yeah, so we started off with a quick tell me about yourself, and my second sentence came out from my mouth where I told that I studied engineering science. Immediately I was cut off. The grilling started. I was asked about my college subjects. Do I like? Did I? And a few questions on top of. Because my degree was mostly field of computer science and artificial intelligence. So and as back then, LLMs were a very big thing. So there was a conversation we had on that. काफी grilling हुआ था. And yeah, a few courses I mentioned. They asked a few questions on my academics as well. And the work I do in my company is also revolves around generative AI. So they asked me a lot about LLMs. They asked me to go in depth about the architecture, about how they're implementing tokens, there are differences between LLM, NLP. We went fully in depth about AI and LLMs because that was what I knew. And I had honestly underestimated the amount of these professors would have in even in areas that is not their main area of expertise. So yeah, a lot. So it was a very good conversation we had. And then we had a discussion about DeepSeek. Current affairs में थोड़ा सा we spoke about DeepSeek and why exactly were they able to achieve what GPT did, but with lesser amount, lesser time, all of that. And finally, this one anecdote I'd like to share is that what we all did was right before we went to the interview. The people who conduct your written test, they are the same people who will be conducting your interview as well. So you see that face when you go to write the written test, and you know who they are. So what we did was we used to search for them online. We used to see what their areas of interests are. So that will help you understand if that's something that you haven't studied, then you can smartly steer away from it. If that's something that you have studied, you can basically gauge how much you should speak, because in these interviews, at least in my experience so far, a lot was in my hands. I could steer it the way I wanted. To give you an example, one of the questions they asked me, my conversation then shifted towards data structures and algorithms. If anyone's a student, this is what we require to get our jobs. So there was a lot of grilling done there as well. One question they asked me was, what is greedy algorithm, and what is a problem that cannot be solved by greedy but can be solved only by DP. The answer for that is actually the knapsack problem. And why I did not want to mention that was because the professor that I read about, he has written a research paper on knapsack. So I knew that if I'm not confident enough and if I mention this, the interview will go out of my hand. I was so sure of that. So I did not want to mention it. So I just beat around the bush and gave him the answer he needs without him actually having to grill me on it, because I knew that the second I mentioned that, I am out of this interview. Then finally, we spoke about the history of Bangalore and Karnataka. One of the things Suraj sir had told me is, "Beta, YouTube nahi, Wikipedia kholo, read the first page, don't click on the links. Exactly what is that? Just read and go. zyada mat soch. That's exactly what I did. Everything that he asked, I felt like I was going through that interview again. And then finally, we had a discussion on my hobbies. I used to play basketball, and I mean, I still do, but it's okay. So yeah, we had a brief discussion on that, and then finally, they asked, "Do I have any questions for them?" And then my question was, "Ki, what should one do in order to do well in IIM Ahmedabad? Should one do anything?" And you need to phrase this question very humbly so that you don't come across as arrogant that I know I'm getting in. You just tell me what I need to do. So I was able to convey that, and their response to that was just chill. So yeah, overall, it was a quite interesting interview experience. And yeah, Bangalore was very much centered across what is this, the egg. So it was very much on top of that itself.
All right. So any questions for Purvika? Again, she's a fresher, so if you have any questions, you can shoot.
I had one question. Do you have to like operating system and like EMS and all of that? Because reading that again.
Yeah, I get that, but you have to if you're in that field, you have to know about it. If your job is not related to that field, and if you're a CS graduate, you should know about it. They won't ask you anything on top of that. I
Okay.
know the answer you're looking for, but
Do they look
So
at your mark sheet? Varun asks, do they look at your mark sheet?
mark sheet, they didn't look at mine, if I remember correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, guys? So she still is there for the next 1 minute or so, and then again Prasanna is here, right? Hi Prasanna. So Purvika, all the best. Thank you so much for coming in, Hannah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, beta. Right. I'll catch you up later. Okay, because these guys have exams tomorrow. Still, they made
Yeah,
out
yeah.
the time. So all the best. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
so much, Purvika.
Uh-huh.
Catch up later, bacha.
Bye.
Bye bye. Take care. Yeah. All right, Prasanna.
या यस
So कैसा है बच्चा?
मैं तो बढ़िया हूँ। प्रेप प्रेप चल रहा है अभी।
एग्जाम है ना कल?
एग्जाम्स, हाँ लास्ट एग्जाम है, वही बस एक बचा हुआ है।
हम्म। So the flow will be Prasanna. Intro, फिर college converted last year and मैंने चार्ट में दे दिया तुमको, एक बार देख ले।
अच्छा एक सेकंड, मैं थोड़ा ट्रांसक्रिप्ट, हाँ ठीक है। या तो hello everyone, I am Prasanna and I converted IIM A, B, Kozhikode and Lucknow last year. I didn't attend the Indore interview. Yeah, I got a call for it as well. Also converted FMS Delhi as well. And currently, I am sitting in the campus of IIM Ahmedabad, so it's a pretty good campus. So now, I'll first tell you about my experience of like the interview experience of IIM Ahmedabad, and then we can talk more about certain other things as well. So, like general intro is I'm a mechanical engineer from IIT Bombay, and I had at point of time 25 months of work ex financial sector. I worked at City, and so like of the analytical writing test, a passage on something related to working in the office, but I think like CATWay will prepare for it, so that is not something that you have to work like focus on right now. You need to practice, but I think more focus on the interview part because it has high level. So in my interview there were two male probably for, and I think now that I know those professors, it feels different. But at that point of time, I felt that the first interview was okay, but the second interviewer was 5 years in the complete interview. So and the shocking thing for me was the senior viewer was actually the most chill person in the waiting area. So I was shocked by it. Now regarding the interview, I entered the room. They told me to have, and I actually did not sit because the other professor was standing. So I waited for him to come back. Then he had his seat, and then I sat, and then we exchanged greetings. Then the first interview asked me like, "Are you from IIT Bombay? Where do you live?" and everything. So I said that everything I've done till now is in Mumbai. So they were like, "Oh, you. It seems you like Mumbai a lot. Then why do you want to come to Ahmedabad?" So it's then I said, "Oh, like I want to try out new things, right? So every time you have a chance and you want to try it." So then we had some small talk around it, and then we jumped into the interview, like actual interview. Now, like M2, like the interviewer two had a very serious face, and he started with, "You're an engineer, and so why do you want to work in financial services?" Because I transitioned directly to financial services. So I gave a short answer, which was already prepared, like I had it prepped in mind because I knew they will ask me, "Why are you working in finance sector if you are a mechanical engineer?" Now, after this, uh, then they asked me about right. So they asked me, "How do you find people who default?" And they try to understand like various concepts around my job. So initial part was pretty okay, but then the real grilling started, right? So now they started adding certain uncertainties. Like they started telling me, "Okay, if you want to find a default without like accounting for the financial and demographic factors, like those are the factors you look at when you find default." But they asked me, if those are not present, then what? So then that put me on a spot because I was not able to like immediately get hold of the answer, and the interview was sitting so close to me that I was not even able to look away from them. So it was pretty intimidating at that point for me, and in that pressure I had to think of an answer in just, let's say, 1 minute or so. But then I tried to like give some answer like like that's in family or some mental issues or something. But then like it went pretty like not so good, what I would say. But I think that is what they wanted to test, that if I don't lose my calm, if I don't give up. I kept on trying to give answers, and I did not try to globe. I was trying to give possible answers. Otherwise, if I didn't knew the answer, I would say, "Okay, I don't know the answer." I'll just clearly state it. I did not try to globe in any way, and that is very important when you give an interview, that you don't globe around. You don't try to show that you know something that you actually don't know. The interviewers are pretty smart to know that they'll catch you and they'll point it out. If the interviewer is strict, they'll point it out to you that we know that you don't know the answer, just say you don't know. So this is a very important point. Don't globe. Now, I think the second interviewer started asking me questions like, uh, if you had to give credit cards to people in India who don't have a credit history, because in India it's not good business as of now. Like it's a business that has just started, but many people don't still use credit cards, right? So then again, it was on the terms of some easy questions which I already had from my work experience. But then again, here they started asking me 2-3 questions which I knew, and they again delved people into it, and then came to the part where I had to think about my answers. So let's say they asked about, um there is like, if you want to give lendings to some people who are working in a village area, like laborers, they don't even have their Aadhaar card, like don't even have a proper Aadhaar card. How will you give them credit? So then I told them like some unsecured lending, some schemes like government gives and all. So then they were like, so you will not do anything as a company or a bank. You will ask the government to do it. So they were trying to grill me a bit. They were trying to put me in uncomfortable like conversations like, what will you do if this happens, if that happens? So I think the point was to stay calm, don't think of anything that you can think at the point. And even if you don't think like you're not able to think something in that time pressure, just stay calm and say, "Okay, I can't think of it at the moment, but I'll think on it later." But I think I just say anything, any possible ways that is plausible, you can say in it. But don't globe. That is what I'll say again. And after that, yeah, after this, I think this work experience was over. Now they asked me about what all calls I have, all the calls. And now first interview again took back from me. And they asked me, how does this bank like, if I don't default, then how will the bank give me money? So I was trying to again they were asking normal questions and all. Now then they told me, have you heard of a term called collective lending? So that is something which I hadn't heard at all. But then I said, I have just heard the term, but not worked on it. So then they asked me, have you ever worked on it? So I said, no, I haven't.
So, guys, is Prasanna's network a issue or ours?
I think his issue, sir.
Okay, all right. I guess उसका
Am I still there? Hello.
yeah, you are still there. अभी ठीक है.
Okay. Yeah. So then I said don't know, but then I think I went back to it and then I said don't know in the next question itself. And then they asked me about some insurance companies. I can relate it to my work ex only. Like they knew that I had studied CFA, so then they told me about some insurance companies. tried to ask about, okay, what are the inflows, outflows for insurance companies? Then are the call, because like they asked me a question, you like web can speed up their claim process. So why would a company do that or company do that? So I said they should do it, but they said that don't say ethically. If you are owner of the company, what will you do? So then again they grilled me some part on that. Okay, if that happens, then I some answers where you have actually gone to the answer, but you are not able to explicitly state it. But I think they were looking at my thought, I would say. Like answer was not important to them, but I think thought was important to them. And I think I did quite well in. Then they came to my which I feared the most because I had 3 years of work ex. I didn't remember much about mechanical engineering. But then they asked very easy concept about what is Young's modulus. So I just told him. Then they asked what are the applications. So it's very important that you go through at least the concepts that are very, very. If you're an engineer, you should concepts by heart. Even if you're not studied it, even if you're studied it, you should know those concepts. So such concept should be at the tip of your head. So I think that is what they asked me. And then after this, the interview was over. Practically, they asked me, are there any chorus? So I had actually like gone through the IIMA website. So I found the exchange program was quite interesting. So I asked them that actually go for exchange as well, and this was one of my motivations. So how do we actually get our colleges, and how are we ranked on it? So he explained me some process. He explained me. In that time, I was in my mental state. I was like, oh, I did not do well in the interview because I did not give some answer. But now that I think of it is okay to not give answer. It is important that you don't globe, and it's very important that you still think, and your thought process should be clear. The answers are not that important. Thought process should be clear, and obviously know that you should be knowing. So I think these two things were very important. And then they asked me to take the toffee and just go away. And so while the whole interview, I was dying inside, but I think after coming out, it was like, okay, I asked the next person and the person in front of me as well. They said that they were doing the same thing to them as well. So it was a common strategy that they were applying. So I think then I felt that interview went pretty good in my way, but still I was waiting for the on the end day. So this was my experience. And then what I would like to say in this is that this calmness which I'm saying about, right? Because if this was my first interview that I'm giving, I would have been just like, okay, they asked me a question I don't know. I would have been uncomfortable. I would have just blabbered something, or I would have just gone into a pressure moment and just stopped speaking anything. I think where Catway actually helped me is I gave lots of interviews. Like even sir took my interviews, mentors took my interviews. They like I've actually so some of the answers, like even in, let's say, not A, but other interviews actually practiced so well that I just said the same answers. In A, it's a more unconventional way. So like there is very less chance that there is a question that is already been asked. But I think even if you don't know the answer to the question, if you know how to answer it, if you know how to stay calm and all, which comes through giving interviews, I think Catway does really well by like you have at least, I'm saying this as a minimum 10-15 interviews, but I think they go beyond that. If I remember exactly, but they go much beyond that. And then your mentor, then there is a complete feedback system that you get, and then you work on your things. Sir personally comes and talks. Like we had a talk many times, I guess, all as well. Even after the interview, I like first call I did was to sir to tell how the interview went. So I
When
think
his age
it
interview was
is
over, he said
personal.
at night we talked and he said कि sir IIMA के प्रोफेसर ने मेरा लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल चेक करा है. I have that conversation of his, and है ना, and we were वहां
हाँ,
पे we were
I
certain
think
कि
this happened.
yeah, go ahead Prasanna.
हाँ, I think 2 days later, I got a notification on LinkedIn that one of the professors changed my LinkedIn profile. And so what happened is I did not get a chance to say CFA in my interview. Like I had clear level. I did that on my LinkedIn and I sent a connection to my professor and he had. So then we were like, okay, he knows me, so maybe हो गया ऐसा. तो वहाँ पे sure हो गए थे थोड़ा almost.
उस समय
Think
में we
this
were sure कि
personalized is
हाँ
very
हो जाएगा
important
ये.
because हाँ हो जाएगा ऐसा. So I think it's very important that you get a hang of this interview. I think that is very important. Once you get a hang, each interview is just prepping for whatever part you know. So just like individual IIMs, you just try to understand how their interviews are and prep for the same. But I think the gist remains the same of how to, and that is what CATWay, I think, developing. So yeah, that is what I would say.
All right.
Uh,
Any questions for Prasanna? And then obviously we'll be wrapping it up in the next 15 minutes or so. Swaraj will be the last, है ना? One to
okay.
say,
Coming.
right?
Okay.
कहाँ बगल में ही है क्या वो?
नहीं नहीं, वो तो अपने रूम पे पढ़ रहा है.
फिर ठीक है, नहीं तो मेरे
मैं
को लगा
खाने
उसका
आया
भी
था.
नेटवर्क इशू जाएगा. है ना?
नहीं नहीं, मेरा नेटवर्क इशू आ रहा है क्योंकि मैं दूर हूँ इससे, डॉम से.
अच्छा, ओके ओके, गॉट इट. है ना? कल लास्ट पेपर है, राइट?
हाँ, कल एक ने संडे के बाद रखा है. एक खत्म थे तो हम लोग अभी एंजॉय करते हैं.
I know. So guys, any questions for Prasanna? No? Chalo, all right,
या बाद
Prasanna.
में भी कुछ रहेगा तो
If you have any
बस या.
questions, you guys can shoot me up and I'll be asking Prasanna to answer that question for you. है ना? Since he has work experience, so those who are having work experience, they might relate better. ठीक है. All right, Prasanna, thank you so much, बेटा यार, है ना?
ठीक है.
चलो मिलते हैं जल्दी. We'll catch you. Okay, we'll catch up with you later.
थैंक
है
यू
ना?
सो मच. या
Yeah.
थैंक यू सो मच.
So, all right, guys, just 1 minute.
यस यस, मिलते हैं.
हाँ पक्का. है ना? मेरी आवाज जा रही है ना?
हाँ.
All right, perfect. So guys, just 1 minute, है ना? Swaraj is joining. He has pinged ki sir, I am joining in just 1 minute. So he'll be note. Yes, he is here. All right. Hi Swaraj. Yeah, hi
हेलो
Swaraj.
सर.
कैसा है बच्चा?
सब सब सही है सर. आप कैसे हैं?
मैं
स्टूडेंट
बढ़िया.
हैं?
मैं बढ़िया. है ना? तो लास्ट पेपर कल.
हाँ सर, कल लास्ट पेपर है
ओके.
और बस उसी की तैयारी चल रही है.
ठीक है. तो स्वराज, व्हाट विल बी द फ्लो?
So I'll discuss on what were the questions and facets discuss. I mean, I was asked
द
about in my
इंट्रो,
interview.
फर्स्ट इंट्रो ऑफ योर्स थोड़ा सा, फिर कॉलेज
Yeah,
कन्वर्टेड
sure,
लास्ट,
sure.
जो भी है चैट में मैंने लिख दिया है
Hmm.
तुम्हारे जो फ्लो होगा तुम्हारा, तो यू कैन गो थ्रू दैट.
Okay, okay, sure. Right, right. A very good evening, everyone. I'm Swarajpal Kesri, and I'm at Ahmedabad currently, and I scored 99.95 percentile last year, which I received the calls from all Black IIMs. And converted Ahmedabad, Lucknow, FMS, and if I'm not wrong, Indore too. I don't quite remember. I was in waitlist. I didn't check if I converted the call. So these were my major calls and conversions. And starting with what happened in my
उससे
IIM
पहले
A
एक एक
interview.
बीच में एक चीज बोलूंगा, है ना, कि गाइस जिसका बैंगलोर और
Uh,
कलकत्ता कन्वर्ट नहीं हुआ था, ठीक है, और हमारी लंका लगी
uh,
पड़ी थी. ठीक है कि व्हाट इफ ए डजंट कम, ठीक है, बिकॉज
uh,
ही हैड इन्वेस्टेड अ लॉट इन हिमसेल्फ, है ना. तो उसके, और
hmm.
बैंगलोर कलकत्ता पहले आया था, राइट, या ए पहले आया था?
सबसे पहले ए आया था.
सबसे
आई
पहले ए आया था और उसके बाद
एक्सपेक्टेड.
बी सी नहीं हुआ था. यस. तो हम लोगों ने बस डिस्कस किया था कि अगर ए भी नहीं होता तो आज हम लोग
मेरा
कहाँ खड़े होते.
एक्सपेक्टेशन बी से था.
या. All
तो
right,
फिर
Swaraj, yours.
yes, so my interview experiences were very diverse. B was my best interview, but and I did not expect conversion from A, because the interview was. I mean, I was grilled quite a lot by the professors in the interview. But again, that's a learning, right? That you don't judge your interview midway. You let the prof do the profs do that job, and you don't try to decide that outcome. Bangalore was my best interview, but I couldn't convert. So starting from what happened in my Ahmedabad's interview. So the broader topics were, it started with the history about where I live, Hyderabad. It started with history from 1200, so on what happened the city. So there's a flyover in our city which is approximately 11 kilometers. I didn't know the length then, and I was asked in the interview itself. History about your city and current affairs about your city is important. Then I was asked about my hobbies. So I had mentioned cricket as one of my hobbies. So I was asked about all the captains in the past 3 years for T20 cricket, men and women both, and different things about my hobbies. Be very much versed with any interest that you put forward. Don't try to include any interest that you've picked up very newly and aren't sure about everything there. So only try to use, try to discuss interests which you're completely confident about, because the profs there know everything about everything. And I get equally surprised on a discussion with them every time. They know more about every branch than what we would know individually. And then I was asked on a few questions on maths. Then the prof went on my academics. I'm an electronics engineer, so he went there, and there was a quite that we had a nice 5-10 minutes discussion around electronics, and then current affairs, what's happening in the world. At that time, clean energy was one of the key themes. So there was a huge amount of discussion on clean energy as well, and how is if solar is actually clean or no. Then the discussion was on the AWT that I had written. So my AWT topic was revolving around if new age firms who just try to pick up funding and keep burning, is this even sustainable, or should firms who do this be allowed in the market? Now I had to defend this answer, and the way I'd written my AWTs, or it's called written ability test, right? In
Yeah,
other colleges.
WAT, yeah.
So yes. So always try to put 2-3 hooks right in that AWT or VAT itself, so that the discussion is predictable. If a question comes on that point, I am prepared between 5 to 10 minutes from the VAT submission to the interview start. So try to also do that. Try to add 2-3 hooks wherein it could get a little controversial or something that your prof can grill you on. But I also always try to do that. It worked out in A. Ma'am had asked 2-3 questions. So the other panelist had asked 2-3 questions there, and that was the concluding note of my interview. And I believe the answers that I gave were very much to the point on what she was expecting, and I had no questions after that. And you can make that out by the responses that you get right from the interviewer. So I felt this was a nice strategy to have with respect to what your VAT and AWT is. So when Surat sir, I believe, already would have started this. So be regular with AWT and VAT practice. Start from now itself, because if you're expecting calls from especially Black IIMs, they start scheduling midway from January. Your preparation there, and current affairs is very important. Uh, Again, reiterating, FinShots is a very good 3 to 4 minute read on what's happening in the world currently. Markets with Zerodha. Go with StudyQIS. Not every video from there would be important, but try to pick up from what's relevant from MBA's perspective. So, MBA's perspective is more on that lens. Now, any business that is going on in the world, right? What are the factors that it can be impacted by? General loss, what's going on in the market, what's going on in this particular sector. So you'll get this idea on what kind of news is also important. See, you won't be asked about what's a specific breakthrough in a very specific niche engineering industry. But if there's a new breakthrough, probably in an advertising campaign, or some company has clocked in record revenues or something like that, which is relevant from MBA's perspective. So try to get yourself acquainted with news which are relevant for MBA's domain. And no, you'll the prof the 15 minutes of IIM Ahmedabad's interview, the only answer I had was, sorry, sir, I don't know about this. I'll be reading more. So don't try to judge your interview midway, thinking it's going downhill. But the moment, because it was all history about the city, and sir went up till 1200s. I had no clue about it. But a tip to you would be to know more about your city's history, especially from 1200, so that you can have a conversation. The first 15 minutes, I only said no. I don't know the answer, sir. I'll be reading more about it. But interview post that went good, and that is why I believe they gave me good enough marks to convert the call. But yes, this was my IMA interview experience. In fact, I called Suraj sir right after the interview. I might have certain amount of bias in judging my interview, but his judgment was accurate, and he had told me that if they've spent 45 minutes on trying to know you, that is not a rejection interview. They're finding reasons to select you more. So that was the crux of IIM Ahmedabad's interview. It lasted 45 minutes. I believe IIM Ahmedabad is one of the most comprehensive interviews any uh, interviewee would ever have. They give good enough time, good enough. They cover almost every facet from one. So in that, if you're expecting a call from IIM Ahmedabad, try to touch base upon everything that I mentioned in the call in the last 10 minutes. And one more thing, I cannot discount this at all. CATWay was there throughout my journey. In fact, the mentors from IIM Ahmedabad, Suraj sir, I mean, I was the first entry to the batch, and I had given close to 35 or 40 interviews, if I'm not wrong. And there were weeks where I had given two, three interviews. I've attended almost every GD. In fact, Asmi was also there last year. So there were a few amount of there were three, four people who used to attend every GD, and they're also going to help you this year. So attend GDs even if you're not expecting that as part of your interview process. How it helps when you're in your GD, you'll have to spontaneously make your points, right? If you're planning to make an entry. Now that helps you in your actual interview. You can be asked about anything, literally anything. The prof can ask you on what his coffee mug's color is and your perspective about that. So a GD helps you prepare for those spontaneous situations. Attend your GDs, listen to Suraj sir. No other mantra that I can give you. Start with your VAT and AWT practice. Be versed with your current affairs and all of the things that I mentioned earlier as well in the call.
All right. Thank you so much, Swaraj. Hannah, any questions for Swaraj? No? I guess अभी ये लोग
Actually,
yeah, go ahead,
no,
Vignesh.
sorry, sir.
Yeah, go
Hi,
ahead. Go ahead.
Suraj. Thanks for that,
Yeah,
like
Vignesh.
insightful session. But I just want to know, like, do you have any idea what might have led to a rejection from B and C? I mean, not to hurt you,
Yeah,
but yeah, just to
no,
get
no,
an
no, that's
idea.
fine, that's fine, that's fine. I believe WorkX part, I guess, because from the interview transcript, in fact, which I had sent even right after giving my interview, there was no way Suraj sir would have rejected that interview.
Yes.
In fact, I banged on B's conversion. I didn't expect a conversion from A. So I believe I would have lacked composite score, I mean, from other parameters. Other parameters, especially WorkX, because the average WorkX this year, if I'm not wrong, is more than 3 years. And while I was giving the interview, I had 16 months of work experience. So I believe that would have played a part, but interview went very good.
Interview was top notch, यार है ना? From the interview's perspective, it was top notch, nearest to perfect. B का interview perfect,
Huh.
अगर precisely बात करें तो, है ना? And
But
again,
see,
Vignesh, I'm telling you, you can never judge ABC's interview. You can never judge that, है ना? तो क्या देख रहे हैं वो किसी को समझ नहीं आता. You only can do one thing, you can give your best and come back.
in
उसके बाद
fact,
छोड़ दो. Yeah, go ahead, Swaraj.
in fact, for had I been selected for IIM Bangalore, I would have had a number of reasons to explain my conversion. But for A, it's otherwise. I still I'm not clear on what they actually took from the interview. But you can never judge interviews, especially of ABC, as Sir had mentioned. And C's interview, I knew I did not perform well because C's interview went downhill from the word go. So the hobbies part that I was mentioning earlier, right? I mentioned a hobby that I shouldn't have mentioned. looking at the audience there. So I'm into rapping. So I had mentioned that. But if you mention rapping to an audience that isn't aware of rapping, then the interview goes downhill. And that happened with Calcutta's interview. It went downhill from the word go and never recovered. So C's rejection was something that I was
Justified.
expecting.
Yeah.
Justified. That was a mistake on my part.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for the insights.
That's what Yash Shukla said ना, है ना, कि you cannot hit the ego of that person. अगर नहीं आता है और तुम उसको बार बार पिच कर रहे हो तो you might face the rejection, है ना. ठीक है, so that is one thing.
So,
चलो,
hey
all
Prasanna.
right. Any other question? Yes, Raju, you have one question.
Hi Suraj.
Oh, hey Raju, you've joined.
Yeah, so if at all you had to go through all the process again this year, what would have changed about the preparation?
From preparations lens, uh, yeah, I would be much aware about my hobbies that I'm presenting, because the interviews that I gave, right, the calls that were very important to me were ABC and FMS. From Ahmedabad's perspective, if I could point out on what I could have done better, for sure I should have known more about the history of my city. And also I was asked a lot of questions on my name. My name has very much historical significance, but also a lot of characters which have the same name, and people in the past. So now I wasn't also aware of that. So my Ahmedabad interview began with, "Do you know somebody named Swaraj Paul?" I had no idea, but that is a mistake on my end. I should have known. That is not something that a prof will discount. This is complete general awareness that a prof expects. So more about the city, more about what your name stands for, or people who have the same name. Uh, and I mean, awareness part is very important. Maths, when I was given a maths question, I did not check that on the lower end of I was given an integration problem. So I did not even, I mean, I wasn't aware to check the lower end of the limit where function was actually not
Define.
feasible. Yeah, defined. So, and I integrated the entire limit, and the prof joked about it. I corrected the moment I realized it. But these general awareness in the interview give you brownie points. So, awareness part, and yeah, knowing more about the city and name, I should have done better there. The interview would have gone uphill from the word go, from Ahmedabad's perspective. And also, especially in your transcripts, right, of your undergrad, the courses where you have business courses, please be versed with the concepts there. I was asked this in IIM Calcutta's interview, and especially in the courses where in third and fourth year you have a 6 or 7 CG. Uh, Try to also have a solid reason on why that happened. There were a few people here who were asked on why this particular CG in this particular semester. Was your placement done? Does that mean you'll also follow the same trend here once the placement is done and you leave everything? So try to have a sound reason for those kind of questions too.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Don't worry, Raju, you will be prepared.
Yes, I trust Suraj sir on Reddit.
Yeah, so don't worry, you will be prepared for each and every single thing that he said, है ना. ठीक है, उसके लिए मैं बैठा हूँ, निश्चिंत रहे.
He'll handle it. You just have to keep doing what he says.
All right, Swaraj, thank you so much for joining in, है ना.
Sure.
राइट, एंड थैंक यू बच्चा, कल एग्जाम में फिर भी आया, है ना. मिलते हैं फिर जल्दी ही, राइट. जा, ऑल द
Sure.
बेस्ट फॉर योर एग्जाम.
Thanks a lot, sir.
चलो, बाय बाय.
Bye.
मैं भी इनसे थोड़ा बात कर लूँ.
Very good.
Hi guys, so how was the session? Cool,
Really good, sir.
So
right?
it was very good, yeah.
You got to know the perspectives of each and every candidate, है ना. And I'm telling you one thing, you अभी मैं बोल रहा हूँ, 4 महीने बाद same statements मिला लेना. For every single interview you will be more than prepared, right? The only thing that I want from you guys is GDs and extempos shouldn't be missed. First thing first. Second, WATs you have to 5 WATs दे रहा हूँ. मेरे को 5 के 5 के आंसर चाहिए, एंड यू विल बी हैविंग दैट डिस्कशन वन ऑन वन विद मी, राइट। उसके बाद तुम्हारे पहले 2 इंटरव्यूज मैं लूंगा, उसके बाद जो इंटरव्यूज मेंटर्स के बाद जाते हैं, मेंटर्स का जो भी फीडबैक होता है, यू हैव टू वर्क ऑन ईच एंड एवरी सिंगल फीडबैक। तो रिमेंबर यस शुक्ला सेड कि मतलब उसका इंटरव्यू दैट आई एम बैंगलोर कैंडिडेट टू कैंड ही वाज लाइक, वो इतना परेशान हो गया था उस इंटरव्यू के बाद कि वो दो दो वीक के लिए ही वाज लाइक कि यार सूरज मेरे को अब इंटरव्यू नहीं देना है, ठीक है। एंड अगेन यस इज एट मोस्ट ऑफ माय एज, है ना, ये 2 साल का गैप है, तो वी टॉक अबाउट कि सूरज सूरज करके ही बात करते हैं, और कभी कभी सर, है ना। तो ही वाज लाइक कि सूरज मेरे को इंटरव्यू अब नहीं देना है, अभी मेरे को थोड़ा सा ब्रेक दे दो, ठीक है। ही टुक अ 1 वीक्स ब्रेक, सेकेंड वीक में उसने इंटरव्यू दिया था, और उसके बाद तो उसके लाइन से इंटरव्यूज ही थे, है ना। तो तुम्हारे पास मेंटर्स के जो भी फीडबैक आते हैं, तुम्हारे मेंटर्स इक्वली कैपेबल हैं, और तुम्हारे सारे फीडबैक्स मेंटर्स के मेरे पास आते हैं, राइट। एंड आई वर्क ऑन ऑल दोज थिंग्स। तो इसलिए व्हाट माय एक्सपेक्टेशंस आर फ्रॉम यू गाइज इज कि फॉलो ऑल द सजेशंस दैट्स गिवन, ठीक है। अपनी डेडिकेशन दिखा दो, यू विल बी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर द इंटरव्यू, ये मेरी प्रॉमिस है तुम लोगों से, राइट। बाकी चलो, आई होप यू वुड हैव एंजॉयड द संडे। गुड नाइट गाइज, है ना, बाय बाय।
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
गुड नाइट एवरीवन, बाय बाय।